Welcome back, guys. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I tell you, this stuff is pretty messy. Gets a little bit all over the place. Alright, so in this video is going to be a couple of things I'm going to be doing. First off, finishing this up. Don't want to rush it. Make sure the last few frets, seems like when you get down to the last few frets or whatever, you seem to rush things a little bit. Don't want to do that. You want the last few to be just as good as the rest of them. So this is the last fret eraser, 1000 grit. Oh yeah. Again, kind of going around with the fret as I'm doing this. I'm done. Excuse me. Alright, so I can put these guys away. I kind of put these in order. There. So I got kind of a bit of a mess on the counter over here. A little bit of a mess on the guitar. I'm going to kind of clean the guitar a little bit. Blow this shit away from the body of the guitar. Because I ain't done yet. The fun part is cleaning what's on the counter up. That will be after I get done doing something else. So stick with me. I'll be right back. And we're going to get on to the next step of polishing frets. Well, I was going to use the Dremel for polishing the frets, but I can't seem to find it. So either my father took it to work, or it's upstairs in the garage someplace, which I'm not going up there now because it's kind of late. So I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way, by hand. So a little bit of this mag aluminum polish, which works very good on chrome. It's got a very mild abrasive in it, so when it polishes, it comes out like chrome and feels like glass. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, start rubbing it in. Rub it in pretty damn hard. Make sure you get it all around the whole fret, not just the top, but all of it. And wipe it off. I don't know if you could tell a difference now, but this one just got cleaned. This one hasn't. And I will zoom in a little bit more to see if that changes how things look a little bit. So yeah, that's got a nice smooth finish to it. Very nice. And now I got my fingerprints all over it. So I'm going to go to the next one now. Do the same thing. And I will be doing this all the way down the fretboard. See, this is the crap that was all over the counter, and if you can kind of see some of these sparkly little specks, kind of looks a little bit like glitter. Hopefully you can see that. Those are metal shavings from doing the fret leveling job, also the crowning and everything else. Now if I had that mat over here, this would be inside that mat. Not only this dust here from the fret erasers, but all these little tiny, I don't know if you could see that or not. See the little sparklies in my hand, almost looks like glitter. that would be in that mat, and every time I lay a guitar on top of that mat, that's what's going to scratch the finish of a guitar. And I don't want that. So this is going in the garbage, and I'm going to go wash my hand. All right, so before I can oil the fretboard, I gotta do something about this little crack in the finish over here. I got three choices. I can either go with the super glue. It is very thin, almost like water. I can go with a polyurethane, not rub-on poly, but a type of a spray-on polyurethane, which I wouldn't spray it on. I'd basically spray it into a cup and then dab it with a toothbrush or a very fine-tipped paintbrush. Or I can go with lacquer. Now, the problem with going with lacquer is you could spray anything you want on top of lacquer, but you cannot spray lacquer on top of anything. Lacquer will act as a paint remover. So if I end up using lacquer on this crack over here, chances are, not knowing what this finish is on this guitar, chances are you can end up start seeing bubbling and stuff going on where I try to fill that, and that can cause a bunch of problems. So what I need to do is I need to level this neck out a little bit more, get this body up, get this area level so I can fill it with a little bit of the crazy glue or super glue. And what I'm going to do is just put a bead in there. I'm going to sand it out and then polish the rest of it out. I've seen it done. It's supposed to work. So let's find out. All right, so I got the body of the guitar right where I want it. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of prepping here. So I'm going to need some tape just so I don't get too much on here. Now, the binding is safe. There's no cracking in the binding over here. So I don't want the super glue to go past that and get onto the fretboard. And there is really no cracking other than this spot over here. So I'm going to put some tape on that binding as well. And hopefully the guitar sits up and doesn't tip over. Looks like it's going to be pretty good. So this stuff is pretty much like liquid. I could shake it up and you could feel it. It's like water. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I just want a bead, a very small bead. Now the tip on this thing is very, very small. So I just have to be very careful and run a bead right down that. So maybe add a little bit more so I could fill it a little bit better. Alright, so what I want that to do is to dry, and I'm going to let that dry overnight and see if I can level sand it out and then polish afterwards. So that hopefully will be taken care of. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the towel and lay the guitar on the counter. I just cleaned it, so there shouldn't be anything on the counter right now. The other part that I got to do something about is that output jack hole. That one is a little bit more cracked than what I want to do, and I think I'm going to test that area with some lacquer. If I use just a very little bit of lacquer on that area over there just as a test point, because I may be putting a output jack plate there anyways. Yeah, so we'll see. All right, I am going to go let this dry, come back tomorrow and finish the job. So I'll see you guys then. You know, if it wasn't for having no patience, I wouldn't have any patience at all. Well, it's not the next day. It's still the same day. And it dried. It dried pretty quick. Well, super glue. And I already started sanding with a little piece of 400 grit. And the 400 grit paper was not really cutting it, so to say. So I grabbed a piece of 320 or 220 grit. And I think it's 220. And I'm going to go ahead and start sanding this thing down a little bit so I can get this. It's got a little bit of a hump in it. Not bad, but enough that you could feel it. I'm wet sanding it. There's a mixture of water and alcohol in here. I did not add any soap to it because I didn't need, it's a small area. I don't need that much lubrication for that small area. The nice thing about using wet sanding is if you ever get any buildup on the paper, just rinse it off. You got a clean piece of paper again, and it doesn't wear the paper out as if dry sanding would. So I'm going to go ahead and I just want to sand that area that I have the glue, not the whole piece. And I'm going to be careful too because I don't want to get any water on the fretboard. And it's starting to go down a little bit because I'm cutting it and I can see the milky buildup, so it is cutting something here. I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm letting the sandpaper do the work, and I'm just using the edge of the eraser to kind of knock that down. And it's going to be a long process. I put 2 strips of glue over this, so it's going to be, there's a good sized mound that needs to be trimmed down. What I think I should do to get rid of that is I think that's what I'm going to do. Clean that off. Little trick for getting rid of runs on finishes after painting. The old razor blade trick. So what I'm going to do is I got a clean, brand new, fresh razor blade. Move the water out of the way. And I'm going to put a little bit of masking tape. I thought I had an open roll. Oh yeah, I do, right here. Open roll of masking tape on the counter. Now I don't want to wrap this several times because if I wrap the tape several times, it's going to give me a much larger. If I wrap this like twice, it's going to give me like a much larger style or thickness right here, and it's not going to cut very well because this area here is up higher than what the center would be. But I do want to cover all of the razor blade that I'm not going to be using here. Because chances are you can actually cut yourself with the razor blade too, so don't want that to happen. Try not to overlap the tape on top of each other because that will make a buildup as well. Alright, for my protection, I have this area here covered with tape, only 1 wrap. If I go a couple wraps over this, the center part over here will be up higher and not scraping the body of the guitar. So I'm going to go ahead and start scraping this to knock it down. And again, all I want to do is get rid of that hump of crazy glue. Which this is working out pretty good. And as you can see, that's the crazy glue that I'm scraping off right there. And it's flattening it down pretty nice. Just getting in there to do it. Get this edge down over here. Nice thing about doing it this way too is with the tape being on there, I'm only scraping the glue. I'm not scraping where the binding, the clear coat is on the binding. So when it goes past the glue, when it gets past the glue over here, there's no glue on the binding, so it's not touching it. It's not scraping it. It's only scraping, and right now, this area here is even with the binding. All right, that is pretty much as flat as I'm going to get it right now. So the rest is going to be done with some sandpaper. And I think I'm going to go with the 400 grit. Use the 400 grit instead of the, 400 grit, instead of the 220 or 320 that I got inside of here. I think it's a 320. Excuse me. Oh man, don't even feel it now. Don't even feel it. And I don't even see the crater from it. All right, so next thing I want to do is get some more sandpaper here. Go with a piece of 6 and 8. All right, so I have my 6 and I got a piece of 8 here someplace. Yep, here it is. Cut a piece of that off. The 6 has been soaking for a while, so by the time I start using the 6, or done using the 6, the 8 should be pretty much saturated right now. And so I decided to enjoy a nice little beverage. And I'll give you a guess what that is. Give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. So you got 2 separate pieces of wood here, 2 separate pieces of wood here. I know it's 2 separate pieces of wood here because I end up looking at it on the other side, and it's the same way. And basically the whole thing, as far as feeling the crack, is gone. So I'm going to take this 600, it's nice and curled, wrapped around my pencil eraser, and start sanding this down. Get it ready for polishing, the polishing part of this. And basically kind of what I'm doing is fading the crazy glue now into the finish. I still feel a little bit right there, but like it's still not flat enough. So what I'm going to do, the rest of it feels good, but just that spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scrape a little bit more here. I'm not scraping anything though. See, I'm not scraping anything, so the hump is basically taken care of. Maybe I get rid of it with the sandpaper. Now the next thing I got to do is figure out what to do with this damn crack that is by the output jack. Got to blend this part in a little bit more. Yeah, I like my nice cut up hands. Had to do some work on the furnace where the blower motor and the squirrel cage is. Squirrel cage being the fan. And I'm chopping my hands up pretty good. See, I'm not afraid of shit like that. I've gotten my hands dirty. I've done mechanic work, done plumbing, done electrical. I'm not afraid of that shit. Well, I am of electrical a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I've gotten jolted a few times. Maybe some will say, well, that's what's wrong with you. All right, I don't want to go too far with this because I don't want to, see, that's getting a lot better. That's a lot better right there. I don't want to go too far with this because it's going to start digging into the actual finish and making that real thin. So I'm going to go ahead and switch off with the 800 grit. Get rid of the scratches from the 6. I don't want to feel a curve in it, if you know what I mean. I want it to feel flush all the way down, and it is. Sorry, I don't mean to flick people off. It's just that I have more feeling in this finger than this finger. I have the carpal tunnel thing going on in my hands. So if I hold my hands a certain way or sleep a certain way, I end up, my hands go numb. There are at least 4 fingers go numb. I'm going in kind of a fast circle motion. Oh yeah. That's nice. Okay, that's done. So I'm going to get my papers that I've already used out of the water because I don't need them anymore. Now, I could polish out the 600 grit sandpaper, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go and use the 1500. Let that soak in the water. A piece of 1500 grit sandpaper. Let that soak in the water and get it nice and saturated. Because now that's going to be the polishing of this area here. Once I get that hit with the 1500 rubbing compound, and that should shine up just like it did when it was new. And I don't feel the divot no more. There's no crack over here. It's gone. It's completely gone. Now I checked if you followed the videos on this, I checked the neck on this thing to try to figure out what possibly caused that crack. The only thing I could think of is just the expansion and contraction over time, you know, being in either a humid area and then being placed someplace dry, and that's where it split, because I can't find anything loose. There's nothing going on this side of the neck, and there's nothing going on the opposite side of the neck, or on this side of the neck where the opposite side of this part is. Everything seems to be okay. So the only thing I could think of is that it's just a stress crack from, you know, expansion and contraction. The one on the back over by the output jack, that one there, I believe that's somebody popping the plug in and out, and because that's probably doesn't have any type of a, well, from what I look inside of there, it doesn't have any type of a bracing in that area. So that's why I'm thinking maybe of putting a output jack plate there to help that, keep it from getting worse. So this is going to have to soak. That's the one thing about using doing wet sanding, is you have to let paper soak, and soak pretty good to do its job the way it's supposed to. So I'm going to be back again, and yeah, I'm going to take another angle picture of this. I should have took a big first picture of this to show the crack, but I'm going to take another picture to show that the crack is gone. Alright, so my paper has curled and changed color a little bit. I can't wait no longer, so I'm going to go ahead and start polishing this out with a piece of 1500 grit sandpaper. Now, I want to go kind of the whole area, not just the center part here, but from here to here, because I can kind of see scratches and it's dulled out a little bit. So I want to go over this whole area here. Just sand it really nice. Even go into the binding a little bit so I can blend it in a little bit. Isn't going to take much. And I can see that it's kind of getting a little bit of like a milky type. That's a combination of the clear and the actual glue itself too, but it's mostly the clear because I'm going over the whole area. Be careful I don't get any, even though I got a little bit of, well, a lot of alcohol inside here, it's still not evaporating as fast as you would think, so still want to be careful getting any water on the fretboard. See, it's working out really nice. You don't feel anything as far as it just blends right in. It goes from, you know, one surface to another surface without having it change in any way. That's it. I'm not doing no more. Dry this off. Now it has a little bit, there's not really too much of a shine in this. It's kind of shiny here and shiny here, but dull over here. And you can feel that it's dull. Here grips, it just slides over right here. So right now I'm going to get 2 microfiber cloths. I'm going to get my number 1 and number 2 of the 3M rubbing compounds. Shake up the rubbing compound really good. See, I don't know if you can see the difference here, all right? This is an actual microfiber. You can kind of see how it looks. This is cheap microfiber. This and the other side, you can see what the other side looks like compared to the top. Actual microfiber is the same on both sides. These are the ones you want to get. These are ones that you can use for rags or whatever. This I can use for a polishing as far as you know, using a rubbing compound, but as far as polishing out the rubbing compound, you know, wiping it the residue away, I will use the good microfiber cloths. So I got my number 1, the number 1 rubbing compound made by 3M. You notice that we have a lot of 3M products. 3M makes a lot of great products, and yeah, we use it. Now, see, I put some on here. There's still quite a bit on the rag. You don't want to just go like this and then wipe it off. You need to go like this. Really rub the rubbing compound in the finish in order for that rubbing compound to do anything. Same thing with polishes. You need to really rub it in order for it to actually work. And sometimes you need to do 2-3 times. Alright, I got my other microfiber cloth here. Rub that out a little bit. See where it ends up. And I can kind of see a gloss is coming back. feels a bit grippy now instead of feeling really soft. But it's going to need some more rubbing out. So I'm going to go back to my number 1 rubbing compound. Now I am going to rub out the whole body of this guitar and the headstock and the neck and everything else. Basically the same thing I'm doing right now to clean and polish it up really good. But for right now, I'm just focusing on this spot here. Yeah, see, if that crack was still there, I would be building up a layer of rubbing compound in that crack. Two times it was. So I don't have to do it a third time. So now I'm going to go with the number 2 rubbing compound. Oh, you have number 1, son, and you have number 2, son. Actually, there'll be a number 3 in a bit. Now, this one here, it's a machine polish, not a compound. There's a difference. Rubbing compound is more abrasive. The machine polish is basically, that's what it is. It's a polish now. But you can still do it by hand. I said I want these guys to blend back to where you wouldn't even notice that they were sanded. And guess what? Scratch doctor time. This stuff you have to shake up really good. Alright. Scratch doctor, you gotta shake. And you gotta shake good. It should not come out like water. Oh, god damn it. Forgot. There was a cover on the cap. My bad. Alright, so now let's put some on the rag. Scratch doctor is going to polish now. And again, you just don't want to rub this shit on and wipe it off. You gotta work it into the finish. And I'm done. Got my shine back. And I don't have to do no more with it. So I put my rubbing compounds back where I got them from. I will put my Scratch Doctor back where I got it from. And I will clean up my mess over here. Got water on the counter, a little bit of rubbing compound on the counter. Yeah. I make a mess when I work. So I can go ahead and put this thing. So the scratches or the cuts I'm talking about is right there. If you can see those cracks in there. I know some people would say, oh, that ain't that bad. But to be honest with you, I don't want it to get any worse. So now I can actually oil this fretboard and get that done and out of the way. Put my stuff away over here because I need to make some room over here for doing shit. Wrong way. All right, so there you have it. You know, that's fixed. I don't have to worry about it. I can get it up in the light and don't see any difference as far as the glare going through it. It seems to be nice and leveled. That's what I wanted. That's what I was trying to achieve, and that's what I did. So next I want to do is fix that cut in the back, which there is no bracing back there where that hole is. It's just the sidewall. I can see why and how that popped. So right now another thing I do is when I use the lemon oil, this is the Dunlop oil, and I've had this for probably, I want to say 5 years, and I got about a quarter of a bottle left. I have to order some more of this stuff. So that's how many guitars I've done, and you don't use a lot of this, but you do use it. And the one thing that I'm going to do is I use this on the throwaway rags. So I have another rag here that is a throwaway rag. I push the plunger in on the bottle and squeeze a little bit so I can get enough of it in the rag, you know, just like a dot like that. Put it off to the side and go ahead and rub it in. Oh, the fretboard looks beautiful. Rub it in really good. Try to get real close to the fret on each side of it. Close to the fretboard or the nut under, you know, up against the nut. Let that soak in and then wipe it off. So there's really not much more I can do as far as this goes. I'll let this soak in and see if I have to reapply. If I see any dry areas, I might have to reapply some more oil. But other than that, that's it. And I'll probably make another video of working on that output jack to try to figure out how I'm going to fix that. Like I said, I think maybe I'll put a little spot of lacquer on there. It's pretty late right now at night, so I'll probably process this video tomorrow sometime and get it up on YouTube maybe in the next couple of days, or who knows, maybe right away. I don't know. Seems like if you post up a video, you really don't want to put 2 videos back to back too much because it kind of screws up your views. So I'm going to let this soak, and that's it. You guys take it easy. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for disliking. And your comments. Take it easy.